If you love, look at the sunset. If you love to look at the sunrise, it's beautiful. If you understand what that sunset is going to be without you, because there's so much in that sunset if you truly understand it. But in order to truly understand it, you need to spend the time. Because when the sunrise comes, what is it telling you? If you truly put the time into it, that sunrise or that sunset sometimes can be intimidating. And sometimes you can leave it to, oh, I don't know what it's doing. Is that truly how we want to live our life? Or do we truly want to understand what's coming? Because of those who came before us, that have left all of this with you, so that you have an informed decision to make, to decide what tomorrow's sunrise is going to bring, and what that sunset that you get to look at is really telling you.
In 2023, Huliauapaʻa was extremely fortunate to be asked to be a part of the Center for Braiding Indigenous Knowledges and Sciences. And I knew straight away we needed to have another Pacific Island partner to do this together. We approached Mātangireia Waka Trust to be the co-hub lead for the Pacific Islands hub. And that relationship was formed based on years of pilina or connection. And so we knew that the partnership was strong. We could all kind of get on this journey together, get on this Waʻa together to come here to Aotearoa. Doing these cultural exchanges really just lets you see things from a different perspective. It breaks you out of the mold of just your daily environment, and it just offers these spaces to push beyond our limits, to think beyond our potentials, and to come home and to just be the best kanaka we can be for our people and our places.
You really can't know what other Indigenous peoples are doing and really learn from their ancestral knowledge through books or YouTube or other media. You have to be there side by side with the community, and to the extent that they're willing to share, to see their practices and their stewardship through their eyes and through their lens.
Our mātauranga, our native knowledge is deeply rooted in people. It's deeply rooted in tikanga protocol, the wairua, the ihi of our connection to land and sea and water and the elements of te taiao, the environment. We say the word whare wānanga, the house of learning, the house of knowledge, but whare wānanga is really in here. And that's where wānanga has become more universal for us. Not so much that strict protocols it used to be under, but it gives us the opportunity to bring other people into those spaces. For example, with this wānanga, our Hawaiian whānau, bringing our Micronesian whānau, putting them in this learning space with us, learning from them. That's wānanga.
Coming to a place like Aotearoa is really seeing, in a lot of ways, an extension of Hawaii, because the Māori people are so interconnected with us historically, as far as thousands of years ago, with the human migrations throughout the Pacific, through shared language, through shared genealogy, stories, place names. But in Aotearoa, you have even different environmental situations, political situations, social situations, where they're developing their own place-based sort of strategies to deal with things. and we can learn from that. You know, we may borrow some of those strategies. The world might be borrowing strategies from the both of us soon, you know, with such a changing sort of situation, both environmentally with climate change and also culturally and socially with all of these problems that we're starting to see in different countries. So it's a huge opportunity for us to come here.
Whao te maunga ko Miti Wai te awa, ko Taharo te whare tupuna, ko Aruka te whare kai, ko Aruka te marae, ko te Taharoa rua pūtahanga te papakainga. Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. Ko haki tuaupa ki tōku ingoa, e tupu ake au I konei te Taharoa. E mihi atu nei ki a koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. Come here to my land here, my whenua, where I was brought up here in Taharoa, as the place for us to be able to engage into a wānanga and sharing and learning and being together as Indigenous peoples, as Polynesians. And so this is the perfect spot, I think, for us to have our Year 2 place-based study under the CPICS project, because what it offers is a rural experience for the whānau, the ohana, the family that have come from Hawaiʻi and Micronesia, and to meet the local people of Taharoa, my family here. And so the first day of the wānanga was made up of the pōwhiri, which is a traditional ceremony welcoming the mana and the distinguished guests and visitors that have come from a whātua marae. We bring on the mana onto this marae, we welcome that mana, we massage that mana, we acknowledge that mana. That mana, the visitors become locals too here on this marae after the formal welcoming.
We were moved by, and I know our ohana has been moved by the movement and the exchange of the whakatau, of the pōhiri, and how, though we look at it from maybe a very formal construct, when you break it down, it's really not formal at all.
Something that I mentioned, because I was the second speaker, it was to share why we were here. The olelo no eo that I focused on was how families in Hawaii, we aloha aku, we aloha mai, we kokua aku, we kokua mai. And that's kind of like what we're doing here, even though we're opposite ends of the Polynesian triangle. In the Pacific, te moana nui a kiwa, ka moana nui a kea, that we actually want ohana.
I think being at Taharoa was just so, amazing, because we were able to immerse ourselves in the culture and the culture of a rural community. My area of specialty has been studying the rural communities in Hawaiʻi and how they served as cultural kipuka for our culture throughout the generations and decades of change. And so I believe these rural communities here probably serve the same function for the Māori, that they were enclaves where the culture was still practiced, people still lived by subsistence, they were stewards of their abundant resources through using traditional practices, applying their knowledge of the the moon phases and watching the constellations and observing, doing the kilo that informed them about the seasons and what to anticipate, as we learned from Dr. Ranginui. So that was amazing. But I think the immersive experience I loved was just going into the lake and, you know, being able to, you know, feel for the clams, even though I had my tabis on, so I was cheating. And then seeing the eels, I was impressed with how they were able to involve everyone from the children to the kupuna in the process of measuring and weighing, just really making it a really rich learning experience, and learning the science that their ancestors practiced, because they did monitor their resources very carefully, as we learned. And you can see the result of that, because you know, everywhere we went, we could see fish. You know, we went to the stream down near the shoreline in the Muliwai, and there's all this mullet. Just really can observe that their vigilance and tenacity in caring for their resources has resulted in abundance.
I grew up in an era where we were so heavily colonized. My parents were heavily colonized. Luckily, they maintained the language, but in other areas of our life, we're heavily colonized. And I think as a youngster, I saw Western knowledge or Western ways of being as a contradiction or a conflict from an Indigenous perspective anyway, being brought up in a rural community. But what I realized is I can use the scientific tools and use that to enhance and augment what we're already doing in the Indigenous space, and we can take the best from both to bring that together, you know, to take our people forward, to take our knowledge forward, to take our understanding of the environment forward. But our Indigenous knowledge, I think for me, is always going to be the backbone, the tuapapa, as we call it, the garden bed, will always be our Indigenous knowledge and our culture that will hold us there together, tight.
In Taharoa, we were also introduced to whānau of that wahi, kanaka of that wahi and of that space, whose families have been there for generations, whose families have seen, like Auntie Shirley says, right, I was birthed into a space and a place where there was no town. And now there's a small community, but a very significant community. And Taharoa's attachment to Kawhia and Maketu Marae, and then to Taranaki, which is just down the way, you can see that it is a bridge between communities.
We then travelled to the ancestral canoe, Tainui, and the Tainui canoe is based at the marae of Maketu, bringing the family from Hawaiʻi and Micronesia to the ancestral house, Oau ki te rangi. Again, just reconfirmed our connection as Polynesians.
In the wānanga, we also engaged in what we call hanauna mau. There was this really beautiful merging between Mātangireia, Huliauapaʻa, and Kalai, Moku, and being able to provide the tools, because tools is not always easy to come by, right? Providing the tools and then the means by which to create this space. And so collectively, what was really neat was we were able to pressure can, like one method that we use on the Waʻa, and then to be able to utilize foods that come from Aina. We had mutton, we had beef, and we had pu'a or pork, and then we had the kumara, and we had the onion, and we had the carrots. So we were able to make these really beautiful stews collectively and together, while learning this technology that has been here for many years, however, potentially meaningless if you don't do it.
In Indigenous communities, song and dance is extremely important. It adds to the passing on of the intergenerational knowledge to the next next one's coming up. And a part of that is socializing and singing and laughing and telling stories and telling jokes, eating and drinking together. It's another form of, I think, absorbing the knowledge that was partaken in during the day. It can be quite heavy and cumbersome too, at times. So bringing everyone together and sharing song, sharing story really helps to cement, and really lock in the key messages that each person has taken away from that day.
Yeah, it's been a lot of things, experiencing things, especially being here and hold the event with the Marais and everything. And I've been honored seeing all those things. It's a great history that will remain with me for the rest of my life. So I always believe in our ancestors that they bring us together. They're the one to guide us to do this for us. So we gotta keep that in mind, stay together, bond together as one people of the ocean.
To be here with a community of dedicated scholars, researchers, stewards of the land, cultural practitioners, it's just reinforces the hope that I have for our lahui to succeed, and also the youths are also giving that experience to your children.
The kids, the kiki, they're our future, not just because there's a time in the future for them. It's because in the present they remind us of the things that are really simple, that matter. And when we forget as adults because we get really busy, they help to guide us.
Kilina is a big deal for us. When we think about how we were raised and us going to school and all the different papahana that we were a part of, Kilina is like the core of how we were able to do all of those things. Thinking about the people that invested, the people and the the different hui that invested so much in both of us. We want to reciprocate that, and then bringing in our keiki into the fold as well.
I just hope that they walk away with like these pilina and these memories, and they really internalize the aloha that they received from everybody and stuff like that. And I hope that they can take all of those things and all of this ike and all of these pilina and all this stuff with them, and hope that they can take it farther than we ever could even dream.
We say things like they are the future and this is all for them, and in many ways it is. But to really connect their consciousness in the here and now, because this is the reality, we got to take them on these journeys with us and get them in that mindset, that subconscious where we know it's affecting them. And these times in their lives will come up in various moments and at various times, and as long as we keep creating this arena for them to be in, which they don't have much choice at the moment because they're rolling with us, that will become part of their world. We want them to find their place, but their place is with us.